All right, let's look into human reproduction. This is chapter number 16, Development of Organisms and Continuity of Life. In today's lesson, we will see the development of zygote to fetus. Then we will see the formation of twins, both identical and non-identical twins. We will see the events that take place during childbirth, the dietary needs of pregnant women, and advantages of breast milk over bottled milk. The last topic of this chapter is sexually transmitted diseases, which includes syphilis and HIV. We are left with only one topic now, which are the contraceptive methods. We will learn about them in our next lesson. So, I told you that the cleavage of zygote lead to a ball of cells, which you can see here, and how this ball of cell is being converted into this tiny organism. We are calling it a baby. So this process of conversion of this zygote into a healthy individual is not a process that takes place overnight, but it takes place over the period of 9 months. So here in this animation, you can see the progress in the development of the fetus into a healthy baby within the weeks 20 and the week 35. So not always one baby is formed. Sometimes we experience observing twins, and those twins are of two types. Sometimes we see that these twins have the same gender and they share similar physical features. On the other hand, sometimes we witness fraternal twins or non-identical twins, where you will see that the gender is different. There are differences in the physical appearance of these two children. How these two twins are formed? Is it a same process through which they are formed? The answer is no. Here you can see one sperm is fertilizing one egg, leading to formation of one zygote. This zygote is now changed into two parts and giving rise to identical twins. Since they are formed by a single pair of sperm and egg, they both will have the same genetic material, they both will have the same gender, they will both have the same placenta, taking the nutrition from the mother's body, and once born, they will have quite similar physical features that we can easily observe. On the other hand, fraternal or non-identical twins are happening here, where you can see that the two sperms are fertilizing two different eggs. So now the individuals which are formed, they are formed from two different zygotes. So here you can see that both of these individuals have separate placenta. Both of them will have or may have different genders, and they will have different physical features also. So this is the difference between identical and non-identical twins. Identical twins come from a single zygote, while in the case of non-identical twins, two zygotes are being formed, hence the physical features and even the gender may differ. On the other hand, when one zygote is dividing into two parts, giving rise to two individuals, both of them will have a common placenta, a single placenta, through which they will be getting the nutrition from the mother. Since they are coming from a single zygote, both of them will be identical genetically, and their gender would also be the same. So this is the formation of fetus from embryo. We call embryo a fetus, a developing human, from usually about 2 months after conception to birth. Here I have shown you in a diagram how the baby is expelled out of the body. If you can see, the arrows are showing contraction of the uterine wall. Actually, the uterine muscles contract rhythmically to expel the baby out. Most of the times the normal position of the baby is like this, that the head comes first and the rest of the body would follow. Here in this animation, I have shown you how the cervix dilation happens and how the baby's head is coming out. So keep in mind that this action is just because of the rhythmic contraction of the uterine wall. There is a hormone called oxytocin, which is released by hypothalamus and pituitary gland, and is responsible for this rhythmic contraction of the uterine lining or the muscle of the uterine wall. And because of this contraction and relaxation, the baby is expelled out from the mother's body. You can see in this animation that the child is still attached to the placenta. The umbilical cord is still there and is attached to the baby from its belly button. The continuous contraction of the muscles will keep expelling the baby out, and eventually the head would come first, leading to more expulsion of the baby, and the whole body would eventually come out. The placenta is removed later by same hormone, that is oxytocin. The umbilical cord is ligated, knot is formed and is cut. Hence, the baby is separated from the mother. So these are the special dietary needs of a pregnant woman. Proteins for manufacturing of embryonic tissues. Of course, the embryo has to develop, so it needs to have proteins. Carbohydrates are required for additional respiration. Vitamin C for making proteins in the embryo, vitamin D and calcium for making bones and teeth of the embryo, iron for making embryo's blood. We know that hemoglobin requires iron to be formed, folic acid for stage when fetus, spinal cord is forming. So these special dietary needs are very much important for a pregnant woman because the embryo is developing. Any deficiency would lead to disorders in the growing embryo. Now, these are the advantages of breast milk over bottled milk. The breast milk is cheap, which is readily available, and it contains all the necessary constituents and also in correct proportions, which is unlike in the bottled milk. The breast milk is actually at a correct temperature that is quite near to the body temperature, which is good for the baby. It helps to develop a bond between the baby and the mother as well. It contains antibodies which are coming from the mother's body and is going into the baby, where antibodies are not very much in amount and the immune system is still weak. So these antibodies which are formed in the body of the mother are also transferred to the baby through the breast milk. Unlikely to contain any harmful bacteria and viruses, breast milk is quite suitable for the child. So these are the sexually transmitted diseases now. The first one that we have to read is syphilis, which is caused by bacterium spirochete. It has 3 stages. Stage 1 symptoms include painless sores at the site of entry of the bacteria. Stage 2 includes sore throat, headaches, fever, hair loss, skin rash, swollen lymph glands, weight loss, while stage 3 is quite an advanced stage where we see organ damage, heart failure, blindness and deafness. The effects include destruction of brain tissue, skin and other major organs, damage to spinal cord leading to paralysis and even death if untreated. Effect on fetus will be seen and it may lead to stillbirth as well. Lengthy dormant periods is seen in this disease, that most of the times this bacteria is not very active through the dormant period. Stage 1 and 2 symptoms may disappear after some time and there is a need for early diagnosis and treatment. The treatment involves the use of antibiotics, of course, since the disease is caused by a bacterium. Antibiotics which are given in this disease are tetracycline and erythromycin, and also their derivatives. The next disease, which is sexually transmitted, is acquired immune deficiency syndrome. We call it AIDS, which is caused by a virus called human immunodeficiency virus. It is spreaded or transmitted through the use of unsterile needles, blood transfusion, and through semen from one partner to another, from mother's blood to fetal blood during pregnancy. How we can control it is the use of the drugs to prevent the spread of disease. There is no cure as so far. We can only prevent it by avoid sharing hypodermic needles and drug abuse. Keep one sex partner, and education and awareness campaigns are very important. HIV testing is very important, and use of certain devices which are included in the safe sex is very important. We have to avoid sharing of the razors and toothbrushes, instrument for acupuncture, ear piercing, and must all these instruments which are used for these purposes must be sterilized.